Hey, this is Sean from Team Plus, and welcome to the third of our videos in the series where we're building the BMW M3 F80 Team Plus race car. So our cars are back from their workshop, back from the CHE workshop, and ready to start putting the rest of it back together. This is our final chassis with all of the good parts on it now, and we need to slowly build this up. So let me show you where we're up to. The aim of this third video is to get to the point where we can hopefully restart this car. Major electricals need to all go back and be reconnected now. I already had the wiring loom in here. They've transplanted the engine, but I need to get all those wiring reconnected, and that's generally the case for inside the car as well. Need to put on the final pieces on here that I'd removed to get all of these pieces off. Just checking that everything's back in place and tightening everything up. Just following all of these wires and make sure we are plugged into everything. I'll take this cover back off so that I can get to the ECU plug. Brackets on from the other car. It's time for me to get the back half of this car rewired. When we were pulling apart the wiring here, one of the really badly damaged pieces was this power distribution unit. It sits up in the corner here near the battery and actually connects on to the battery. It contains the battery terminal, a discharge point for when airbags go off, and a connection to go to the power connection that goes under the car. So this unit obviously was no longer any good. Here is our replacement in perfect condition, all there, and we'll pop that in. For those who've been watching these videos as we go, you'd remember that in the damaged car, which contributed most to the electronics for this build, this board, this module came out of the boot area of the car near the battery. It's actually the rear electronics module, and it was fairly destroyed, although it was functional enough to start the car originally. But you can see all the connectors are all broken. That one I can't even get off. That one doesn't exist at all. This one doesn't exist at all. And you may remember that the wiring loom had a number of cuts through it and so on. So this is the wiring loom that goes up into the boot lid. So we have now sourced a replacement. So this is what the rear electronics module is supposed to look like, and that'll go back into the car. And of course we need a replacement for this cable. So it's two that I've come across. This first one here is out of an F82, so an M4. Which looked pretty promising. The part number was almost the same, only one digit different, figuring it might just have some different lengths for some of the connectors, etc. However, when I go down through this one, the actual connector for the lights are different. The other one I found, this was on a boot lid that I've bought for the car, a replacement boot lid. And this one has a different part number. It is an older part number superseded by the one that was in the car, but it does seem to match. I followed the wiring through on all of them. Everything seems to match through it. It's a little bit untidy and it's wire wrapping, etc., and I'll clean that up. But otherwise seems to have all the right connectors in all the right places, and certainly happily fits into this module where the other one went. Leverages up, and we'll have a replacement for that. So I'm going to get to now just rewrapping and cleaning up this, putting on all the various securing clips in the places they need to be on the right, on the end solution, and then we can go back to putting this in the car. Well, the next piece of the puzzle to put together here is to put the dashboard into this new shell. So a bit of a jigsaw puzzle of the pieces that came out of the other car, and not all of them will be functional anymore because we've removed a number of the air conditioning components, but they'll all go in there to start with. Well, I think it's time to do a bit of a stock take as to where we're up to. Everything is connected in the engine bay. In the inside of the car we have completed the dash and reinstalled here. All of the electronics in the footwells is all back and connected. Nothing's tested yet, but everything's back. The inside of the car is all connected and ready to go. All the connections are made underneath the car. In the back here, some of the electrical stuff still can't be run because we don't have the boot plastics yet to be able to connect everything to. But other than that, it's all ready to go, and inside the battery area, that's all been reconstructed and all the parts replaced that needed to be from the damaged one. So before we can restart this car, which is the aim of the current step, there is a vital piece to do, which is two things. One, replace the belt, the drive belt down in here, because we no longer have the air conditioning unit, and we need to refill and bleed all of the radiator systems. Okay, so there's our new belt. We'll take this off. Anything we can do to get a little bit more space for my big hands into this sort of area. So we'll take this off, take this air pipe off, and that should give us access down enough to get first the water belt off, water pump belt, and then to be able to slide this one in. So this one first has to come off. We undo those 4 surrounding smaller bolts and then turn the engine with turn the crank down the bottom of that piece down in there, and that will release the pressure, the tension off this belt. We can take that off, and then we can try and slide the other one in behind it. So now I just got to reach down and get this belt out. And there it is. Okay. It is. That belt's on. Now to get the other one back on again. So turn this until it finishes tightening that pulley. With the belts on and everything put back together in the engine bay, it's time to refill the 2 radiator systems. So we have 2 systems on the F80. The main reservoir is here, which attaches to the main coolant for the engine, and has an offshoot that goes off to the turbo cooling system as well. There is a second water system for the charge air system here. So this has its own reservoir, its own cooling system, and we're going to need to be able to bleed both of those. as well. So we're going to start by filling each of these using a vacuum fill method. I've never used that before, so it's going to be interesting. Then we'll use the electronics in the car to activate its own bleed process where it runs those pumps and cleans it out and gets rid of all the air bubbles. Okay, so our fluids in the radiators are topped up. We now need to do the bleeding procedure. But before we do that, this is the first time I will connect power to this car and all of its wiring loom, since it was all removed and transplanted from the other car. So the procedure I'm going to follow is to connect the battery, look at the electrics, turning everything on and making sure before I start the engine or anything, or before I do any of the bleeding procedures, just making sure that everything seems to be operating and I'm only getting the error messages that I expect to get. All right, I'm in the car now and we've got the power connected. Let's just turn on the electrics in the car and see what we've got. Remote control missing, no engine start. Yes, I need to go get the key. Hang on. I'm back again, this time with the key in the car. Let's see how we go. So we'll turn this on. There we go, not bad. So the big test, will it start? Brake on. The answer is no. No cranking at all. I can hear pumps go, but no crank. Okay, it's the next day. Main culprit appeared to be we needed to charge the battery. So I thought it was told it was charged, but it wasn't. So we've got that charging overnight. It now indicates that it's fully charged. No idea whether this is going to start, but let's give it a try. And it'll probably take a few goes. No. Okay, attempt 3. I found a missing fuse and a connector that I hadn't connected in the engine bay. No. Taking the battery charger off, put on a jump starter instead, just to make sure that it's not a battery issue. So good news, starts, runs again back in this chassis. Bad news is our battery is probably no good. It needed the jump starter to get going. Leave it on charge for a few days, see if that works, but it might need another battery. But that's great, I'm happy with that. Keep an eye out for the next episodes. We'll go through getting all the body pieces back onto this, some of the missing strengthening elements, brakes. This car has no brakes, so it'll have new brakes on it, new wheels, tyres, etc. Keep an eye out for what we're doing. Thanks.